After Lavan switches his daughters so that Yaakov will marry Leah instead of Rachel, Yaakov protests, and Lavan says, "We don't do that here, marry off the younger one before the firstborn." One of the commentators on the Talmud suggests that we could learn a law from this. Imagine if a father is authorized by his two unmarried daughters to accept the money for marriage on behalf of the daughters. And a fellow comes up to that father and says, "With this money, I am hereby married to your daughter," not specifying which daughter. The commentator suggests that based on Lavan's statement, that fellow who had given the money for the marriage will be married without any question to the older daughter. But a later commentator asks, how could you learn a law in Judaism from the ultimate liar and trickster Lavan? And he answers with the following story. The great rabbi, the Alshich HaKodesh, was teaching a class in Tzfat in the 1500s. And he was detailing each one of the 100 instances where Lavan had tricked Yaakov. And at the end of his class, he smiled. One of the people in the audience asked him, "Rabbi, why were you smiling?" And he said, "I'll tell you why. Because Lavan himself was in the audience." I don't know what that means. I'm just telling the story. Maybe he felt his presence. Maybe he was a reincarnation. But the Asha continued that each time when I had explained one of the 100 instances, Lavan, sitting in the audience, had smiled, smirked like, "Yep, nodding. I did that." Except for one. When I explained how he exchanged his daughters, he shook his head like, "No, I didn't do that." Why? Because he felt that that wasn't trickery. Because that one, the underlying claim, was true. In general, we don't marry off the younger one before the older one. And so that's why this is the only instance in the Torah where the full story of the treachery of Lavan is explained. The other 99 instances when he changed Yaakov's wages are not detailed because those were complete falsehoods. Where switching the daughters, that was based on a truthful statement. Yes, it was trickery, it was fraud because he had contracted to marry off the younger one, but in general, that claim is true. And you see from here that we have to be careful not to paint with brushes that are too broad, especially nowadays. We'll say, "I don't want to hear anything that person says. Everything he says is wrong." Why? Because he's liberal and I'm conservative. Or I'm conservative and he's liberal. I'm religious. He's not. I'm not religious. He is. I don't like him. Don't like the way he sounds. Don't like the way he looks. And we'll throw out everything that person says. And yet sages tell us that a wise person is someone who learns something from everyone. Everyone means everyone. It includes people with different political beliefs, religious levels of observance, people with whom you don't get along. Stop and listen next time. Things are more nuanced. They're not black and white. You may just learn something from that other person.